topics at
your INEC, courts, that is coaching the Vice President. Elections have come, elections have gone. We have had quite a number of elections in this country, and most of them are determined by the people, others are determined on the technicalities of the courts as espoused in the law. We are House of Reps members and honorable members of the State Houses of Assembly, even governors in many states of the Federation, except Oshu. Yeah. The Vice President now comes out to say credibility of election depends on INEC and courts. INEC has come out with different strategic devices, as it were, to ensure that the Nigerian factor.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to align with the Vice President who has said that the credibility and integrity of elections in Nigeria, as far as Nigeria is concerned, depends on INEC and the courts. Much as I agree with him, based on the vagaries associated with the conduct of elections in Nigeria, you know, the chief umpire in the conduct of election, as we all know, is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And INEC is the only body all the political parties, all Nigerians, the electorate are looking up to remain independent, as the name suggests. The INEC will not only be expected to be independent, but it will be expected to live above board by ensuring that the polls are not only free, but they must be essentially seen to be fair to all manners of participants,
and ultimately
credible. Not only credible, but also acceptable to the generality of Nigerians. So definitely, we all know it, and you see, INEC is a name that are evolved over time. Time was when it was FEDECO. Time was when it was NEC.
Yeah.
So
it's even metamorphosed into NECOM.
And
later
it became
INEC. That is what it is now.
So you could see, if you cast your mind back to the era of Second Republic, FEDECO was the almighty name, quote and unquote, then. And everybody, the fear of FEDECO
became
the beginning of wisdom.
Yes.
For anybody aspiring to occupy one public office or the other, then. But today, the commission has evolved, and it's becoming to fulfill its mandate. That's a lot of people are now having much trust. Yes, the reposing confidence in INEC because of the showings of recent. But when you take a look at some of the variables still associated with the conduct of elections in Nigeria, a number of people who want to disagree. I don't want to point accusing fingers and lay the blame at the doorsteps of INEC. Each time the conduct of election goes awry. But much as I said it, much as I agree with Mr. Vice President that the integrity of INEC, the effectiveness of INEC and efficiency of INEC will be major factors. Proactiveness of this body goes a long way in ensuring that the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians, as far as the polls conduct are concerned, are met. I agree with him that the courts of competent jurisdiction, when you talk of courts of competent jurisdiction, it starts from the election petitions tribunal. So if one is not satisfied with the judgment churned out by this particular level of justice administration, you go to appeal court, as the case may be, and if the Electoral Act permits, you go to the apex court in the land. But I want to add some variables to the proposition, or will I say the contention of Mr. Vice President. The electorates too.
Yeah.
They are major stakeholders as far as the conduct of election is concerned in Nigeria here. Quite a number, will I say a larger percentage of Nigerian electorate are uninformed. They don't have sufficient information at their disposal as regards what should be their conduct during the election. Some deliberately go, or will I say appear on the wrong side of the law. And this will not assist in deepening the country's democratic process. We must all be on the same page. I've always said it on this platform, on this set, that if the intention, the ultimate ambition is to serve the people, it shouldn't be a draw or die.
You see, in Nigeria...
So I've just mentioned the electorate now. What about security agencies? Everybody has a role to play in ensuring that our electoral process is foolproof. So until we are able to be on the same page as far as this is concerned, I beg, honestly, we could be groping in the abyss of darkness, and this will be counterproductive ultimately.
We have not spoken about the politicians. One of those things that make election a nightmare in Nigeria is the activities of the politicians.
Yes, I wanted to mention them. They are part of it.
Because of the fact that when elections are held, everybody will be saying we are going for a free, fair and credible election. But there are some politicians who will never be satisfied with the outcome of the fact it is all Nigerian politicians. I know that I've been their friend from the beginning to the point of vote casting. When it comes to counting and announcement of results, then you see politicians moving in the wrong direction, or in different directions, as it were. What is their how should we, what should we expect this time around? Do we expect us to sing the same song the same way?
Okay, yes, I had already identified politicians as one of the major stakeholders as far as the conduct of elections is concerned globally. Their disposition to all the arrangements put in place by the election, or will I say electoral body, their readiness to abide by the rules of the game, their what will I say, their men, the pronouncements, honestly, that the totality of the conduct of the politicians will rub off positively or negatively on the outcome of the polls. And when politicians, when candidates feel aggrieved by the outcome of the election, yeah, they shouldn't resort to self-serving activities or like a conduct. They whatever they put up as their reaction should not be self-serving. Rather,
even the more talk about June 12, 1993 election that was globally acclaimed to be free, fair, and credible, yet it was not acceptable to some politicians. So accepting or acceptance of results of election, and don't you think it is a big deal?
Yes, accepting the result of the election is a coin. I mean, it's a two-sided coin. I mean, coin.
Mm.
It's like even this talking drum.
Mm.
It must have tail and head and tail.
Mm.
So you cannot dissuade a child, a scolded child, a child that has been reprimanded, not to cry. So every politician, every candidate has a right to appeal. If you are aggrieved, if you are dissatisfied with the conduct of a particular poll, you have the right to approach a court of competent jurisdiction.
That's where the court comes.
Hey, I'm telling you, that is just it. Otherwise, people can choose to resort to what do we call it? Anarchy,
to fracas,
crisis, fomenting trouble, and what have you. And that will not. It will rather be inimical to the advancement of democracy. So what we are saying here is that every aggrieved candidate in a particular poll has an inalienable right to approach the court.
Thank you very much.
So we cannot but continually evolve in our democratic process.
Yes, our democratic evolution is gradually moving because we hope that it will evolve positively and progressively. The second topic, petrol scarcity may affect election logistics. The recurrent petrol scarcity in Nigeria reared its head very recently, and Nigerians have been grappling with all that are associated, all the pains associated with the petrol scarcity. Now that elections are very, very near, Nigerians are beginning to cry foul. Why fuel scarcity at this time? People go to the disgraceful extent of buying petroleum at 450 naira per liter in a country that prides itself as the giant of Africa, a country where honey and milk flow. The custodian of petrol, a country that supplies petrol to many parts of the world. That is our lot in this country now, petrol scarcity. The election is very, very near. In fact, a few days to this time, Nigerians are buying petrol at cutthroat prices. And when election comes, mobility is important, especially for the sensitive and non-sensitive materials to the areas where elections will take place at the polling units. The prices because it is no longer a price now. We have different prices at which people buy petrol now. Do you think this will not affect the election in its entirety?
Yes. Do I think the crisis will not affect the conduct of election?
Yes.
If I decide to think otherwise, then something is particularly wrong. And come to think of it, if the body saddled with the conduct of election in the land is raising an alarm, then definitely something is wrong somewhere. You and I have been victims of the current crisis arising from scarcity of PMS across the country. You've just narrated the ordeal of the teeming populace. The teeming masses have been groaning under the yoke of scarcity of petroleum, and to rub salt on injury, then the scarcity of newly designed naira notes rear its ugly head again. So let me just tell you one thing, that we all know that the logistics aspect cannot be wished, cannot be downplayed when it comes to the conduct of election in Nigeria. If the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is mobilizing no fewer than 100,000 vehicles and 4,000 boats for the deployment of personnel and materials to 176,846 polling units spread across the 8,809 registration areas or electoral wards in the 774 local governments areas nationwide, then you won't but agree with me that we have a challenging situation, a highly challenging situation at hand. So that's the main reason the body is crying out, and it's now sensitizing the authorities to the impending crisis. It's what INEC has envisaged. Even when we never experienced first scarcity, it was always very difficult to ensure smooth deployment of personnel across the country for the conduct of election. This is a general, we're talking about general elections involving presidential election, National Assembly, and governorship, as well as state assemblies. So you can see that the entire nation will be involved, save for few states of the Federation, Osun, Ekiti, Anambra,
yes,
that will not conduct governorship election.
Yeah.
All other states of the Federation, about 28 of them also,
will be
27 also, will be involved as far as the governorship election is concerned. You honestly, and there are very remote areas
in fact,
that has always posed problem to INEC to access, even when there is no crisis,
even in Osun State,
of this magnitude. So definitely, I want to align with the INEC, and honestly, I just believe my conviction is that just as most political parties or some of the political parties have expressed optimism, I'm highly optimistic that the situation must be brought under control it must not allow to degenerate.
Beyond where it is.
The recent reports we had yesterday indicated that the situation was, abating. The crisis was abating in Abuja, and there are no queues are no longer feasible. Yes, in Abuja. So let's just hope that it will trickle down, and those in Maiduguri, those in northwest, among other Katsina and the rest, not to talk of those in Lagos, those in Osun, will start to enter filling stations
drive out
and drive out without necessarily paying through their noses. That's what we are saying. Honestly, it's unthinkable. It is embarrassing that one of the largest producers of petrol in the world has continually been subjected to this harrowing experience. It is quite unthinkable, it is embarrassing, and it has to be tackled headlong.
We have identified petrol as a likely source of disruption. Let me use that one. Let me use that language for the forthcoming election. There are others too. Apart from mobility, there are others like human factors, and this time around, INEC has promised that the bimodal accreditation machine, that is BIVAS accreditation system, will do a lot in reducing, if not eradicating, election fraud. But vote buying is another problem BIVAS may not be able to eradicate, because there's no way somebody will collect money before coming to BIVAS, and BIVAS cannot discover money in the pocket of whoever is coming to vote. That's another one that is likely to affect the election. What is your take on that?
Okay, you have just identified something, a problem that has become, that has become a recurring decimal. It is antithetical.
It is
to our attempts at deepening our electoral process. And vote buying, I think, is a byproduct of decadence being experienced in society. We as Nigerians, we've got to make a choice. We've got to take a decision as far as this is concerned. Taking a decision has to do with restoring our value system in this country. We need to go back to the olden days when honesty, integrity, truthfulness, patriotism was some of the overriding virtues. So if we are Nigerians and we want the best for this country, we've got to resuscitate the value system. There's nothing that the country will gain. There's nothing we will gain as a people if all we do is to say, I don't care. Even if they don't perform, let me just collect my own entitlement from them. I think that is defeatist, and it is a bit not. It is incongruous with sensibility. It is incongruous with with the global norm. that you will now decide to say, okay, I don't care what happens. I don't care if Mr. Party A or Party B performs or not. I don't care. What I'm really after is what
will come to my pocket.
Okay. What is this MDGs and among other policies and programs that are global in outlook are conceptualized with a way to affecting the lives of humanity positively. So it is high time we started thinking or putting on our thinking cap towards securing the best of best, the best of the best in terms of performance, in terms of the discharge of or will I say the spread of dividends of democracy. Governance itself is an art, and it's something that really percolates down. If those who know how to do it, if those who have that genuine intention, those who mean well for the society are elected to be at the ends of affairs, we need to have the yardsticks. There should be a kind of barometer to measure governance, and we have the opportunity of retaining a performing administration
through election, and we have a way of showing the way out.
Okay.
For a non-performing
but we must be on the same page. If really we want the best, if really we don't want to be regular, or let's say perennial complainants, those who always complain. So we have the opportunity, we have our voting power, our voters card is there for us.
Yes.
To determine the destiny
of this nation.
Thank
you very much, Muideen. We go to the last but not the least topic. Recently, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, came out to tell the world that the federal government is not fighting corruption to impress anyone. That is a very powerful, very potent statement. It is capable of multiple interpretations because of the fact that to an average Nigerian, Alhaji Lai Mohammed is not a stranger. When his name is mentioned, everybody knows who Alhaji Lai Mohammed is. And each time he makes a statement, Nigerians have a way of either digesting or twisting it or giving it interpretations of different sorts and kinds. And fighting corruption is definitely within certain limits and confines. Alhaji Lai Mohammed coming to say fighting corruption is not to impress anyone. This time around, what is your own interpretation of this?
Yes, thank you so much. Let me just say, without much ado, that fighting corruption is the hardest task. It is arduous. Let me say it's probably one of the hardest tasks
one can undertake.
One could be saddled with. People do come up with this saying that an average human being is a lawbreaker. An average human being is a lawbreaker. And if you give people the opportunity to circumvent a system, policy, program, they will do it with relish, with impunity. So,
with reckless abandon.
I'm telling you, I do not envy the federal government. The federal government cannot be envied because the task it's elected to perform, fighting corruption, for us, it's not easy at all. Okay, somebody said because they are convicting people, they are arresting people for stealing and what have you. It's not fighting corruption. Somebody has said, even a lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, was saying that the federal government was not fighting corruption. But let me just tell you something. Even within individual household, there are deviants. Those who will not love to toe the line as far as the rules and regulations are concerned. In every home, the parents will lay out the guidelines that
this is the way things should go.
In this hour, but there will be a lot of people who will not subscribe to towing the line of honor. In Nigeria here, many Nigerians are honestly unpatriotic. We have quite a number of unpatriotic Nigerians. A lot of people will not even subscribe to the idea. Why are they fighting corruption? Some people will say it that they are stealing their own. Why are you always after somebody who is stealing crumbs when you are? That kind of mindset. There's something fundamentally wrong with the way some of us think. We believe that you must not necessarily be corrupt. That
once you are in government,
that you are not we cannot have saints in this country. It is our mindset, and that is what is really affecting national growth. The government of the day. I am not saying I'm not holding forth for the government. I'm not the spokesman for the present administration. But let me just tell you something that no matter what any government does in the area of fighting corruption, the beneficiaries from the system would never wish such a government well. But coming back to what Lai Mohammed said, that it is not fighting corruption to impress anyone, not even Transparency International or any other anti-corruption agency or watchdog. So you can see it there. When you take a look at the report rolled out, Transparency International only on Tuesday, and Nigeria was scored 24 out of 100 points. That is 24%. That is scandalously low. And ranked 50th among 180 countries. Let me just tell you that countries like Denmark, Finland, Singapore, Sweden, Switzerland, Netherlands, Germany, and Ireland, even New Zealand were rated ahead of UK, US, and even France. I'm telling you, there's no country that is clean. But what is important is that we need to do more. And government should not be should be undeterred by the rating of Transparency International. I'm not discarding this rating. I'm not discarding it. But what I want to say is that government must not embark on anti-corruption activities or efforts with a view to impressing. I align with Lai Mohammed. That must not be the motive. The motive is not to impress anyone, but to do the needful.
Yeah.
And restore sanity.
Sanity, yeah.
There's insanity. I'm telling you, when you talk of financial abiding
of the highest order.
Exactly. There's insanity in the land, and some people believe that the country cannot be cleaned up, cannot be rid of corruption. I don't share that view. I don't belong to that school of thought. I believe that the country can be better, but the only thing that everybody has to do, it is not when you put the blame or you lay the blame at the doorsteps of the government of the day. It shouldn't be government. Who constitutes government? They are people. They are Nigerians.
Yeah.
So I see it as a two-way fight. The government, that is the leaders, and the led. So there's no way. We have a leader here in OSBC.
Yes.
If the chief executive officer lives above board,
yeah,
definitely we must also live above board for him to have succeeded in administering this place. And that goes for every agency, every tier of government,
even every home.
That is it. So charity, let the charity begin from home. Yeah. By so doing, all of us will reap bountifully the benefits of what do we call it? Sincerity, transparency. We can't continue like this. We cannot continue to change for better. Our mindset must change. Our way of life must be more dignified. We must restore the value system. I don't know. I don't even want to say it's eroded. It's almost deleted. And my fear is that we don't go to the recycle bin to delete permanently. That is my fear. That we will not ultimately go to the recycle bin to delete moral rectitude. We need to do things the old way. In the olden days, you and I, at least we met the what do we call it? We met, if we were not part of history, at least you'll be told about what happened, what transpired in the past.
In the past, yeah.
When our forefathers really cherished trust, honesty, transparency.
When they reap bountifully from their farm,
exactly,
they will lay it on beside the road and put stone to represent the amount of money they want to sell it.
So what are we saying?
And whoever the potential buyer will come out, buy
and put money
there.
And nobody will go there to raid at least and cut away money. No.
That was in the olden days.
But today, they will now tell you in Yoruba parlance that Omade Sobano Abi Odun Samis. We just pray that the old world order is restored.
It is only in this country. It is so in some other countries too, but in Nigeria, you hardly get things that belong to you that you should get freely.
Even when we're in school and you come to the open to complain about somebody has stolen your belonging, people will burst into tears. and say, even if you are not careful, you will be stolen, you will be kidnapped. And that was some decades back. So what is happening today?
Today
when we have even the so-called men of God who are stage managing their own kidnapping.
Their own kidnapping their own death.
Yes.
To raise money.
They stage manage that they were kidnapped.
To avoid paying what they should do, they should pay.
No, because they were benefiting also.
Oh yes.
From the ransom. So it's unfortunate. We pray
that one day Nigeria will become what we want it to become.
We hope that day will meet us.
Because it's a serious
meet
thing
us.
now.
It's currently not. But let me just tell you that our efforts at sanitizing society should begin from the home front. Yes, let charity begin
at home.
At home.
But one thing that impresses me about what Lai Mohammed is saying here is that, from the way I interpret it, that federal government is not fighting corruption to impress anybody or to impress anyone. To me, it means the fight will continue. Not by anywhere has the right to question how the federal government is doing it.
Let me just say one thing, that a lot of challenges are laid on the path of corruption. What do we call it? Fight against corruption, anti-corruption efforts. One of them is the challenges posed by court of law. You see, the justice administration in Nigeria is fraught with a lot of challenges. Maybe we're talking about lack of infrastructures, lack of the requirements. Must be given all that it takes to administer justice,
so that they will not go into
yes.
corruption.
I'm telling you that's very important. And a lot of people too, there shouldn't be too much pressure on those on the bench. And another area has to do with further. We should have implicit confidence
in the judiciary,
and judicial system. That is very important.
If the judiciary should not be pressured with too many cases, few judges.
That's what I'm saying. The personnel.
Yeah.
I talk about inadequate personnel.
Yes.
You can imagine. I read of recent. I read about